Alright, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin podcast. Just want to start off and say I apologize for there not being a consistent uploads here on the podcast over the last, I guess, couple of weeks. There was one episode last week. I said I want to do multiple last week, only did one, and then this week you may not get your first episode till I think Wednesday, July 31st. I'm going to hope to have multiple out for you guys this week. That is the plan, because today we are going to be doing a 2023 NBA redraft. And you guys on, either if you're listening on the podcast platforms, if you guys want to let me know on Twitter or Instagram, and then for you guys on YouTube, you can let me know in the comments. I'm going to go about this not like completely blind going into this. Now, I did a redraft kind of when this season ended on the Ross channel, but I kind of want to just maybe do a new one from scratch here with you guys. And this is pretty much just welcome to the offseason. This is where we're going to do redrafts and maybe regrades and revisitings and just maybe some drafts and stuff if I want to have maybe some guests on, which will be cool. So you guys can let me know if you want to see or hear that. So you guys can let me know on the comments, maybe on YouTube if you're watching. Like, do you like me to just do this without really knowing who I have next? Like, obviously, I'm going to like kind of have an idea on who I'm going to have number one overall in a 2023 redraft, but I'm going to talk it out and I'm going to kind of talk to myself about it and see if I like kind of just break down why I think this player can go here or there, just so you have my reasoning and maybe who I was between for each pick. So for the 2023 draft, I don't think a lot would change at the top. Just maybe at the first four picks, like those could be the same. We'll see. Just because there's only been a year with these guys now. Some of these rookies in the middle to end of the kind of the top 20 have really like stood out. Like guys like Brandon Podziemski are going to rise up a ton. Cam Whitmore should rise up a ton, as well as Jaime Jaquez. He should rise up a ton based off what we already saw in their rookie seasons. And I think there's plenty of guys that may drop for sure just after the rookie year. Like I'm maybe a little bit lower on Dereck Whitehead. Did not shoot well last year and was hurt. Did not shoot well in the summer league. Like we'll see. It's a big year for him. I don't know if Chris Murray is going to fully develop in Portland. We'll see about that going forward. Kobe Buffkin has already been traded. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Kobe Buffkin has not been traded. What am I saying? I was thinking of Dyson Daniels when his name popped in my head. I apologize about that. But yeah, like obviously some things could change here, which I'm excited about. I just have 1 through 14 written down right now. We can obviously go more picks if I kind of want to just, if I'm having fun with it. So if you guys do enjoy these, I'd appreciate it if you drop a thumbs up on YouTube and let me know by leaving a rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I would appreciate that a ton as well. So San Antonio Spurs number one overall pick is obviously going to be Victor Wembanyama. He was clearly like just lived up to the hype, right? He was somebody that was talked about as the best prospect we've seen since LeBron James back in 2003. I think the hype he had was more than guys that came after him, guys like Derrick Rose, who had a ton of hype, guys like Greg Oden and Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant clearly didn't have enough hype to be unanimous 1.1 because he did not go number one overall. Obviously, some other guys had great hype like John Wall and Blake Griffin and Kyrie Irving. Anthony Davis, you could make an argument because Anthony Davis was projected to be like at the minimum an all defensive caliber big man, and he was that basically. Zion obviously had a lot of hype. Ben Simmons had a lot of hype. But yeah, clearly I think Wemby had the most amount of hype since his rookie season. And he exceeded expectations in my opinion. He averaged 21.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 47% from the field. He was just also a force defensively. Teams were scared to go up against him in the paint. There was so many there was countless highlights on like just the internet, or you saw if you were watching these games where teams had 2-on-1s against Wemby or 3-on-1s, and they were just scared to go into the paint. And Wemby over the second half was basically like phenomenal as a scorer, honestly. Like if we kind of just look from December 28th, his last 45 games of the year, he averaged 23 points, 11 rebounds, 4.5 assists, over a steal, 4 blocks a night, and shot 48% from the field, 35 from 3, and 81% from the line. Those are MVP numbers. Those are like generally MVP numbers. If the Spurs were I don't know, the 5th seed, he would have gotten multiple MVP votes this season because of his two-way play. And there's a chance he could finish top 5 in MVP voting next year. It's going to be crazy. Like, if you redraft, like, prospects from now up until 2018, he would go top 3. I'm sure you'd probably think, like, at their peak, Wemby will be better than Luka or Shea or Ant or Paolo, which is crazy to say, but there was that much impact in his rookie year. And I hope injuries don't happen with Wemby's career, because he's just like, it's scary being like that tall and skinny for your height. Like, that is a possibility, but he appeared in 71 games this past season. He looked durable. He wanted to play out there. and he pretty much exceeded expectations, which is very tough to do. I remember back after the Summer League performance, his first one, I forget if it was against, I don't think it was against Portland. I'm struggling to remember the team it was against, but I remember doing a draft stream for Bleacher Report right after that, and the overreactions were flown in there. No, he did. Somebody posted him, or he posted, who's the big man? Oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy if I can't figure out who this is. Oh my God, because I remember there was this like huge thing that happened. There was a guy that kind of dunked over him. I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, like I just remember doing a Bleacher Report stream after that, and just everybody commenting was like, "This is like the hype guy. This isn't real." Yeah, okay, so it was the Hornets, not the Trailblazers, but it was against the top prospect, and I think it was Kai Jones that dunked over him, and that was like a whole big deal at that time, and everyone's coming in with their overreactions. And Wemby had a great like second Summer League game. I don't know if he played another one after that. He didn't play many, and then just dominated throughout his rookie season. So yeah, Wemby clearly a 1.1, and it was a franchise-changing draft lottery, and the Spurs legitimately got somebody that's franchise-altering with the #1 pick. Now, I wouldn't go far as say like he's as franchise-altering as Victor Wembanyama, but Brandon Miller looks like a foundational building block for the Charlotte Hornets and looks like a franchise wing in the modern day. Someone that's 6'9", that I think has the athleticism and the size to be able to create his own shot at any point on the floor. He's able to post up smaller defenders, even guys that are on him or kind of somewhere in height. I mean, he's 6'9", but he handles the ball like a true guard, like a point guard. And it looked like it was just like easy to get to his spots. And even without like when LaMelo was hurting, there was just rotation of point guards last year. Like you had a bunch of different guys. You had Rozier at one point, Nick Smith Jr., Micic, Trey Mann. There was a lot of guys that were running the point for this Hornets team last year. And Brandon Miller, he didn't look phased whatsoever. This guy, I think, is going to be a true three-level scorer. He can get to the rim, finish at the rim, was an elite three-point shooter. I love his mid-range jumper as well, and he was somebody that really turned it up a notch in the second half of the year. And I also don't cared on the defensive end of the floor. I'm not going to say he's an elite defender. Like, he's not in the Thompson twins right now defensively, but I do think he was phenomenal on that end of the floor for somebody in these environments of Charlotte where he had to be a grown-up in a room. It was a terrible veteran supporting cast, and they made so many trades at the deadline, and it's just like constant roster turnover, and he was just like a nice steady point for the Hornets last year. And I'll admit I wanted them, or I didn't want them, but I was like, I think they should take Scoot Henderson. I know him and LaMelo could be a little redundant, but you take the best player available, you figure it out down the line. That's kind of like what the Kings did with Fox and Halliburton, and netted them some bonus. Now, could Scoot Henderson still have a better career than Brandon Miller? 100%. This has just been their rookie seasons, but after their rookie year, it's looking like the Charlotte Hornets made the right decision for their franchise going forward. And Miller, over his last 36 games of the season, he averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, over a steal a night. He shot 45% from the field, 37 from 3, and 84 from the line. And you watch a Hornet game, and I think he made a notable impact. And there was some stinkers obviously in there, but for a rookie, I thought he blew my expectations away, and I think he blew most people's expectations away. And the Charlotte Hornets, who have new ownership, new front office, new head coach, new veterans on this team, some new young guys. Hopefully LaMelo Ball's going to be fully healthy. It's exciting times in Charlotte. This is a team that could, I think, flirt with the play-in tournament next year and make it to the playoffs for the first time since, the 2016 season? It's been a minute since they last made the playoffs. The Hornets made the playoffs last in 2016. It's going to be almost a decade ago, so it would be nice. They were good in 2022, but they lost in the play-in tournament, so we'll see what they look like next year. But clearly, Brandon Miller would go number 2 in a redraft. Now, you could be like, Matt, this is where something should change. Scoot Henderson was abysmal in his rookie year, but honestly, in a redraft, I still think he goes 3rd overall. I don't think he was bad enough where he wouldn't. I think after the 2014 season, you'd be like, okay, Anthony Bennett, this dude should not go number 1 overall in a redraft. He was that bad. 100%, yes. Scoot Henderson showed plenty of flashes last year, and also in not a great environment. There was times where Chauncey Billups refused to start him. I thought towards the end of the year, this dude really should have started him, and he just refused to whatsoever. I mean, Scoot had problems with his efficiency, but Scoot also, over his last 27 games, started 17 of them. He shot north of 40% from the field, shot 36% from 3, was an elite free throw shooter at getting to the line as well. 16 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 88% from the line. I thought the defense was fine for a team that wasn't good defensively. And when your veterans are Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Matisse Thybulle. It's really not the greatest core, and it was a losing environment towards the end of the year. There were injuries to Shaedon Sharpe and some other guys, and obviously Robert Williams before the season even started. And I'm excited to see Scoot Henderson another year under his belt of experience. It's a shame we didn't play in the Summer League. I don't get why. Brandon Miller appeared in the Summer League. Cam Whitmore appeared in the Summer League. Same with Brandon Bojemski. Guys that had much better rookie years than Scoot Henderson, but Henderson just didn't play in it. I guess there's a risk of injury, but still just a game or two would have been nice to see. But I think Henderson's going to be great next year. Rookie guards that have a high usage tend to have pretty low efficiency, so I'm not going to look too much into Scoot's 38% from the field, 32% from three in his rookie year. I think he's actually going to be a plus three-point shooter throughout his career as well, because the shot looks good. He's quick. He's got a good release. He's a good free throw shooter. I think all the intangibles are there for him to be a good shooter in the NBA going forward. So at number 4, Houston, I still believe would go with Amen Thompson. I don't think anything would change there. No matter who they took at 4, probably wasn't going to get an insane amount of run time last year, unless it was like a Dereck Lively, like somebody of like positional need on that team. But yeah, like having Amen Thompson be behind Green and Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks. This guy was never going to play a ton of minutes. He did appear in 62 games. He averaged 22 minutes a night. I do wonder what it's going to be for Amen Thompson next year. Is he going to be able to crack the starting lineup by the end of the year? I don't think that Fred Van Vliet, with his contract and how much he does mean to Houston, at least next year, will get moved. Maybe Dylan Brooks gets moved. Maybe Jalen Green gets moved. Like, you never know about that. But the athleticism was on display from Amen Thompson. He could jump out of the gym. He looked great defensively. I love watching him in transition because you know something's about to go down, and he makes the right decisions, and he looks very polished for somebody who's 21 years old. I would love to see Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd work off each other in a two-man game next year. I don't know if we're going to see that as much. Maybe it's going to come off the bench, including Cam Whitmore, who I'm sure we'll get to soon. But I just wonder, I don't want to like sound the alarm if Amen Thompson puts up similar numbers next year if the minutes don't increase a ton. Like, he averaged 7 or 22 minutes a night. I would love for him to average north of 30 minutes. I don't think it happens, but hey, we'll see. So coming in at number 5, I don't think Sondre Thompson would go here. I don't. I think for what Detroit needs around Cade Cunningham, yes, they need defenders, but I don't know if they want to sacrifice the outside shot there with the way that this roster is looking right now. I think there's a lot of question marks with, like, obviously Jalen Duren is in a floor spacer. There's going to be question marks with Ron Holland's shot. You have Jaden Ivey, who's not been a consistent shooter so far in the NBA. So I think this is where we're going to have our first switch up. I think off potential, Bilal Coulibaly could be in play here at number 5. I think Jaime Jaquez is a great player and was a top 10 rookie last year, but I think when you're looking at what Detroit is building long term, I think he's more of a win now guy rather than a high potential guy. Cason Wallace could really help out that backcourt as well. I mean, there's a lot of debate. I kind of like Brandon Bojemski next to Cade Cunningham. I actually think that'd be a perfect fit there. Oh man, I'm tempted to do that. I'm tempted to do that because I like Cam Whitmore originally here. And I don't think you go Dereck Lively just because of Jalen Duren. And I don't really think you need Lively over some of these other versatile guards or wings. So I think it comes down to Brandon Bojemski, Cam Whitmore, Cason Wallace, because Cason Wallace can really help you out defensively, or Bilal Coulibaly, which I think, you know what, I think I'm actually going to have Bilal go this high. I think that's exactly what Will Dawkins, not Will Dawkins, who's the Trajan Langdon, would want in Detroit, just for the length, the versatility, somebody that's able to handle the ball like a guard with his size. And apparently Bilal Coulibaly, he grew a couple inches this offseason, and he's 20 years old, and I think he's going to be a plus 3-point shooter and a plus defender in this league. I think his offensive game will have a wider gap to it than to Sondre Thompson's offensive game, than Sondre Thompson's defensive game to Bilal Coulibaly's defensive game when it's all said and done. And I think you're getting a legitimate building block around Ivy and Stewart and Duren, and obviously Cade Cunningham, who you're prioritizing his development the most out of anybody here. So that's my first switch up. Bilal going 5. Went back and forth. You could have a source still go here. I think Cam Whitmore deserves some consideration. I think Brandon Bojemski deserves some consideration as well. I think it's a weird fit if you threw Pods there with Jaden Ivey. Maybe if you redraft that and then you flip Ivy. I don't know, something like that specifically. But I'm going to have Bilal Coulibaly go there at 5. 6 Orlando, I like the idea of Dereck Lively here. Dereck Lively was phenomenal as a rookie. He was the 12th overall pick in this draft. Dallas traded down, got off the Davis Bertans contract, and got a perfect fit around Luka Doncic with the 12th overall pick in Dereck Lively, somebody that is a great screen setter already and was 19 last year. Didn't mention that for blah, blah, blah. Was 19 throughout the whole year. Lively was 19 throughout most of the season. This dude does not drop alley-oops. He's firm. He's not clunky with the ball, and he's not awkward in the paint. He's somebody that can get his dunks, get his rim runs in, set good screens, play good defense, rim protect. This man at the start of his rookie season was playing like how many minutes a night to start off the year? He played 30 minutes a night in his first game. They were relying so much on him before the Daniel Gafford trade. Like, it was actually ridiculous. Like, before the Gafford trade, he had some injuries in there. He was averaging like 26 minutes a night for a 19-year-old for a team that eventually ended up going to the NBA Finals. And Lively looked great on both ends of the floor. And I think for Orlando, while you do have Wendell Carter Jr., maybe you still like Anthony Black enough to take him here. Maybe you like Keontae George, what he could be for you. But I think getting Dereck Lively next to Powell Banchero in that front court could really help out Powell defensively and let him worry a little bit less about kind of protecting the paint there with Lively there instead. Now, that could maybe result into some floor spacing issues because at least Wendell Carter Jr. Has the ability to hit threes, but I think getting the value of Lively at 6 is really good for Orlando. So number 7 for Washington. This is interesting because Bilal Coulibaly is off the board. So I think this is where I'm going to have them go a high upside scoring wing in Cam Whitmore. Now, I don't know if this is what Will Dawkins and the Wizards would like because they like these kind of lanky, super athletic, high potential guys. Whitmore, I think, has a higher floor than Bilal Coulibaly, maybe a little bit lower of a ceiling, but he was somebody that was 19 years old last year. He's somebody that shot 36% from 3, 45% from the field, and like Brandon Miller, could be a 3-level scorer. Now, I don't think I'm going to trust Cam Whitmore as much in isolation, but he's super athletic. He can get to the rim, and he can finish at the rim. And I don't know if he's going to have much of a mid-range jumper throughout his career. He was fine as a shooter at Villanova. He shot 34% from 3. The one thing with him, there's tunnel vision issues. He does not pass the ball. His assist-to-turnover ratio is not good. I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over a ton, but he's not really assisting whatsoever. And he's averaging more turnovers than he is assists, and that's not what you want, especially in a young player. But I think Washington getting a wing here like Cam Whitmore could be nice for them scoring long-term and could actually provide some competitiveness to that Washington locker room going forward. That leaves me Indiana at 8. Do I think they still go Jerus Walker is a question. I remember in the video I did Brandon Podziemski because I think Pods would be perfect here, but I think that could be redundant with like Andrew Nemhard, and you have Mathurin and Neesmith and McConnell and Halliburton. So maybe you stick with Jerus Walker here specifically. I don't know if Casey Wallace would go here. I still am really high on Taylor Hendricks. Maybe you like Jaime Jaquez, but now that they have Siakam, it's probably not worth it. So you know what? I'm going to still have them go Jerus Walker. I thought Rick Carlisle did a terrible job developing Walker in his rookie year. I expect it to be different in year number 2. I expect them to give him more runtime. It's been projected that he could be the backup small forward on this team behind Benedict Mathurin next year, which is fine with me. I thought he was going to be like a really good power forward next to Miles Turner long term. Obviously, they ended up trading for Pascal Siakam, so they didn't really need Walker to be a starting power forward probably in the first 4 years of this rookie contract now, especially since they re-signed Pascal Siakam. Thought it was a little weird that they re-signed Obi Toppin because, you know what, that's going to be another roadblock for Walker to crack that top 7 of that rotation one day, but I think he's got elite defensive skills. I think we saw that at times last year. I think we saw that in the summer league, and he actually can be a good shooter, a good kind of bulldozer to the rim. This dude is a massive dude. He's very strong, can get to the rim, can finish inside, and I think could still be a great pick-and-roll partner. Either it's for Halliburton in the starting lineup or TJ McConnell off the bench. Number 9, Utah. I think, like Orlando could have gone Keontae George at 6. Maybe Washington goes George at 7. I don't think Indiana would go Keontae George. So I'm going to have Keontae George go 9 to Utah. I think just what Keontae George showed as a rookie exceeded my expectations. I think he was asked to do a lot more than he was expected to. I've said that a ton, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but I did not expect him to get this much runtime, this many shots, and play point guard for them. I mean, I wasn't super high on George coming out of Baylor. I don't think I had him ranked in my top 15 prospects, and he's proven me wrong 100%. I thought was inconsistent at Baylor, and I don't think the efficiency has changed too much. Like, he shot 37% at Baylor from the field, 33% from three, 79% from the line. He shot 39% from the field this year, 33% from three, 85% from the line. But I do think he worked on his jump shot more. I think it looks better. I think it looks smoother. I like the confidence in it. I think he will be a lot better shooter than what his numbers were last year and what they were at Baylor. And like I said with Scoot Henderson before, rookie guards who have a high usage tend to be inefficient and kind of have trouble with their shot selection or their shot diet at times. So I think Keontae George is going to be fine. I don't really think Jaime Jaquez would make a lot of sense for this team. I think Brandon Podziemski could make a ton of sense as well here. And I'd love Podziemski here at 10 to kind of replace the Josh Giddey role, but somebody that can actually shoot and be a more impactful defender. But I know how much they love Cason Wallace as well. So that's who I'm debating between, Cason Wallace or Brandon Podziemski at 10 to OKC. I think I'm going to go Cason Wallace still. He's their guy. He was one of the best point of attack guard defenders in this class. Like, he's, I think, right up there with Amen Thompson, like better than Anthony Black defensively, way better than Keontae George and Kobe Buffkin and Grady Dick and those guys defensively. So I think OKC still sees a lot in that. And obviously they ended up getting Alex Caruso, so maybe somebody of Cason Wallace over the next 4 years defensively being his main skill set as a point of attack defender isn't the biggest priority. Like, they could just get that in Caruso and get somebody like Podziemski who could replace Giddey eventually down the line. So maybe there's an argument there, and I could totally see that. But I think in a larger role, Cason Wallace could be a true 3-and-D guard in this league, and also can facilitate. He can crash the glass. He's got good size, good frame. He's strong in there, and he can kind of box out bigger guys than him. I don't know if he's ever going to be a lead point guard. I think he's probably better as an off-ball guy, spot-up shooter, but a really good defender, and that's somebody you can put on another team's top guy when you want to maybe let Shea like take a breath and obviously focus on the offensive end of the floor, or J-Dub or somebody like that. Orlando at 11. This is the Brandon Podziemski fall. I enjoy watching Podziemski probably more than everybody up until like Amen Thompson at 4. I think this guy just does too many things right at this level of the NBA. Like, just what we saw at, I think, Santa Clara, and the improvement at Santa Clara from Illinois, what we saw at the Combine, like being the Combine standout from this class, and I think just doing everything kind of well for Golden State last year. He can hit threes, he could pass, he could defend, he could dribble, he could shoot, he could run in transition. He's a good off-ball defender. He's got confidence. He's got high basketball IQ. There's a reason why I love Tristan da Silva a ton in this most recent draft class, because of guys that could do maybe not all these things at an elite level, but could just do everything well and doesn't have a super big weakness. And that's why I liked Tyrese Halliburton a ton coming out of Iowa State. That was kind of my evaluation on him as well. Yeah, Podziemski could be a better free throw shooter, and hopefully his three-point shot doesn't dip next year. But I think this guy's a winning basketball player in Orlando. Getting Dereck Lively at 6 and Podziemski at 11 in this redraft, I'm definitely a fan of. So Dallas is going to lose out on Lively. He went 6. So say we wanted to still get them a big man. There's not a lot of great big man on the board outside of one guy. Like, Noah Clowney ain't going here. I mean, this is where you could have a Trayce Jackson-Davis rise. Like, Trayce Jackson-Davis went 57th in this draft. But I do think upside-wise, there's one more guy that I think would work out for this team a little bit better long-term, and I think that is Taylor Hendricks. Now, I don't know if Hendricks would make the same impact offensively in the half court as Lively would have in his rookie year, and I think Hendricks as a backup 5 would be great if you still pick up Daniel Gafford. But what I like about him is he could space the floor, and over Hendricks' kind of last 15-ish games of the year, where we actually got to see him crack the rotation because this team has so many bigs, it was positive, man. It was positive over the last 16 games. He shot 48% from the field, 44% from 3, 81% from the line, averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds, and I thought just looked more comfortable out there. I thought he was making good extra passes, and he was knowing when to take his shots, but also had the confidence to maybe take a shot that you're like, okay, do you want to take that? And he would just pull it in. I thought it was good looks at times, like towards the end of the year. And I think he could be a great just floor spacer for Luka Doncic, but can also be a good rebounder as well. I don't know if he's going to be as good of a rim protector as Lively is, but I think just the way that this draft has fallen, I think you could look at Trayce Jackson-Davis, which would be a huge rise for him, or you go Hendricks here, who is going to fall 3 spots in this redraft. So Toronto at 13. I mean, I think he could have gone a little bit higher, but I didn't mention him. I'm gonna have Sondre Thompson go here. I'm scared about the jumper. I am, and I don't know if he's gonna have like the playmaking ability as Amen Thompson, or just I I don't know. I think also Amen Thompson's better at finishing at the rim. Now, Amen was in a much better environment last year than Sondre Thompson. Sondre Thompson was in one of the worst environments in the NBA. So 13 here is probably pretty low. I think going back on it, you could definitely consider him at 7 to Washington, 8 to Indiana, 9 to Utah, probably 11 to Orlando. We know they love their defenders. So I think this is the floor for Sondre Thompson here at 13, being somebody that you can have out there. Say they still make the Siakam and Anunoby deals. You have out there with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, and maybe it's Jacoby Walter, but could just be the #1 defender and can guard teams' best guys. And him and Scotty Barnes, when they're switching, this could be a really good defensive forward combo. And I actually really like the idea of a Sondre there. Now, I do like Grady Dick. I thought he played great offensively over the second half of the year. Still have the question marks defensively. But I think you can still consider Grady Dick to go here at 13. Pelicans at 14. I don't know if they would still want to go. I guess Anthony Black is on the board, and I like that. I think Anthony Black is still going to be a top 14 guy in this class, and I'm going to have Anthony Black go, but then I don't have Jaime Jaquez in the lottery, which is crazy, right? It's crazy. Maybe Jaime Jaquez goes 12 to Dallas, and I bump Hendricks down a spot. See, this was my issue before. I had him going late. So, next up is Atlanta at 15. And Atlanta, I mean, would they go Anthony Black? I mean, they went guard in Kobe Buffkin, so maybe they'd still go Anthony Black here. I mean, they could really use a Sondre Thompson, but it's a Sondre drop 5. No, that's a little, like, much. So, I think I'm going to drop, do I like Jaime Jaquez going to Toronto? But I don't want to drop a Sondre Thompson, but I might have to. I don't think New Orleans needs another wing with Jaquez. All right, I'm just going to have Jaquez go to Atlanta. I think there's a clear need for... but after Jaquez looks so good, man. This dude is a smooth scorer. I think I don't know. I underrate Jaime Jaquez in my evaluation just because he's 23 years old. He struggled a little bit over the second half of the year, if I remember correctly. I mean, I could be completely wrong, so I'm going to fact check myself if I am. But yeah, like basically late January on, he shot 45% from the field, 27% from 3, 77% from the line, 9.5 points, 4 rebounds. But he was a rookie, but he's a lot younger than, or a lot older than these guys. So does he have the highest ceiling as them? Now, he played fine in game number 1 against the Boston Celtics. He did not play in game number 5. I don't remember. I don't know why I thought he played in game 5, but I guess he got hurt. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do this. I think I'm going to have Jaquez at 15 to Atlanta, a team that would want to win now guy. But you could have Jaquez go 12 to Dallas. I think you can have him go 10 to OKC. That may be the highest unless you see the role for him in Indiana at 8. I just think there's no need for him to go 5 to Detroit just because I think by the time you're competing again, Jaquez isn't going to be, I think, at his peak value. And I think when it comes down to it, has a lower ceiling than some of these other guys, which you can say, Matt, you're wrong on this. And I'm perfectly fine to realizing that I should have had him go a little bit higher. So that means I have a Sondre going 13. I have Anthony Black going 14. Now, you would probably not make the DeJounte Murray trade if you think Anthony Black could develop into a good playmaking point guard for you. I think there's a lot of questions on that for sure if that would end up happening. I think it's a big year for Anthony Black, and I think with no Markelle Fultz there, they didn't really sign like a Tyus Jones, somebody like that could be the lead initiator. I'd like to see Anthony Black take over in that role. A couple of last spots, like I think guys that could go. I think 16 here, Utah's up again. I mean, they ended up going Keontae George. You could go G.G. Jackson here. I like a ton. I think he should shoot up. I mean, 17. Who's 17? The Lakers. Let's get Trey Jackson-Davis. They haven't really had good big man depth there in a while. 18. We have Miami, so you're losing out on Jaime Jaquez, so I'm going to give you Grady Dick just to be a nice floor spacer and could just be a Duncan Robinson replacement down the line, or you're not going to feel as bad losing Tyler Hero eventually. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to ultimately go with. It's tough because I think there's a ton of guys here that could go... I don't know. I think this tier after Podziemski is tough with Hendricks, Thompson, Black, Jaquez, G.G. Jackson, Trey Jackson-Davis, and Grady Dick. Anyone else that I think could be considered in this tier? I think Marcus Sasser had a good rookie year. I don't know, though, a little bit on the older side. I think Julian Strother and Nick Smith are still going to be good. Ben Shepherd looked good as a rookie for sure. Jordan Hawkins, I think, made winning plays in the second round. Going through these guys. Tristan Vukcevic, I think, was solid for the Wizards last year. I think Jordan Miller could be a real impact piece for the Clippers next year. I think Jalen Wilson and Tamani Kamara, who went 51st and 52nd, could be good guys as well. I even like Chris Livingston, who went 58 to the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's what I'm going to end it on. I'm going to do 18 picks here. Like I said, I think the toughest things start when you switch up number 5. I went with Blowout 5, and then you have Hawkes fall. Where do you put Podziemski? Where do you have Jerus Walker and those guys? So let me know what you guys think. In the comments below on YouTube, let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'd appreciate a rating and review. And if you guys want to see me redraft 2022 and onwards, let me know. Drop a thumbs up. Hit that follow button on the Spotify and Apple Podcast platforms, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.